Hello friends, welcome back to my channel Beauty of Language and Literature. Do not forget to like, subscribe and comment. So here I am back with my few quick questions. See whether you are able to answer them or not. So the first question is, what does Antonio plan to do in response to Shylock's insistence to collect his pound of flesh? The second question is, what explanation does Shylock give for his insistence to pursue the bond? The third question is, what does Bassanio offer to Shylock in order to persuade him to forfeit the bond? The fourth question is, what does Shylock do in anticipation of the judgment? And the fifth question is, what name is given to the person who comes to judge for Antonio's trial? So in the last video, we already saw that all had gathered in the Venetian courtroom for Antonio's trial. So moving forward to the explanation of the second part of the first scene itself, since the first scene of Act 4 is too long, so we have divided it into 3 different parts so that you'll be able to understand the whole procedure of Antonio's trial in a very proper manner. So moving on to the explanation of the second part of the first scene, that is from line 164 to 396. Portia enters the courtroom disguised as Balthazar. The Duke asks him whether she is familiar to the circumstances in the case. Portia answers that she knows everything very well. So the Duke calls Antonio and Shylock before her. Portia asks Antonio if he admits owing money to Shylock. Antonio answers yes, he owes money to Shylock. Then Portia concludes that the Jew must be merciful towards Antonio. On hearing this, Shylock says that he does not need to be merciful to someone as Antonio, because he is there to get justice from the Duke. On this, Portia delivers one of the most famous speeches of Shakespeare's play. The quality of mercy is not strained, but it is a blessing to both the sides, to those who provide and those who receive it, because it is an attribute of God. Portia reasons that humans approach the divine when they give mercy to the other party, when they practice it in their lives. Shylock brushes aside her pretty speech and, however, he reiterates on getting justice and revenge. Portia asks Bassanio whether Antonio is able to pay the bond, but then she gets to know that Bassanio had offered twice the sum owed to Shylock, but he refused to accept it. Bassanio says that he is ready to pay the bond 10 times over, or even with his own life. Bassanio begs the court to bend the law slightly in order to exonerate Antonio. This little infraction will be a little wrong to a great right. Portia replies, however, the laws shall not be broken, the decrees of Venice must stand. Shylock joyfully praises Portia's wisdom and offers her the bond for inspection. Portia looks it over and declares it legal and binding, and bids Shylock to be merciful, but he remains deaf to reason. And Portia tells Antonio to prepare himself for the knife. She orders Shylock to have a surgeon at hand to prevent the merchant from bleeding to death. But Shylock refuses that the bond stipulates no such safeguard. Antonio bids farewell. He asks his friend not to grieve for him. He says that he is happy to sacrifice his life to prove the love for his friend. Both Bassanio and Gratiano say that even though they love their wives, but they would give them up in order to save Antonio. In a pair of sarcastic asides, Portia and Nerissa mutters that Bassanio and Gratiano's wives would not appreciate such sentiments. Shylock is on the verge of cutting Antonio, but Portia reminds him that the bond stipulates a pound of flesh only and makes no allowances for blood. She tells Shylock to continue collecting his pound of flesh, but reminds him that even if a drop of blood is spilled, he will be guilty of conspiring against the life of a Venetian citizen, and that all his lands and goods will be confiscated by the state. Stunned, Shylock backpedals, agreeing to accept the 3 times of the sum. But Portia is insistent that he would either get the pound of flesh or nothing. When Shylock realizes that he cannot even get the original sum which he had lent to Antonio, that was 3,000 ducats, then he drops the case and decides to leave the courtroom. But then Portia reminds him of the penalty that the non-citizens have to face when they threaten the life of a Venetian. In such a case, Portia declares that half of his property would go to the state and other half of his property would go to the offended party, namely Antonio. And then she asks Shylock to plead the Duke for his mercy. The Duke declares that he would show mercy. He spares Shylock's life and demands only a fine rather than half of his estate. But Shylock says that it is better if he would take away his life because it is worthless to live without his estate. Antonio, on the other hand, offers to return the half of his estate on the condition that he converts himself to Christianity and bequeaths all his property to Jessica and Lorenzo upon his death. Shylock agrees over it and departs, simply saying, "I am not well." So that was it, children. Let us move on to the analysis of this scene. In the course of this section, Act 4, Scene 1, Portia not only releases Antonio from the bond but strips Shylock of both his religion and livelihood, rendering him unable to conflict or even threaten further damage. This outcome of the trial is little surprising, given the fact that it was meant to ensure Shylock's defeat. This genre of comedy demands that Shakespeare dispatch his villain before ushering a happy ending. Shylock's pursuit of strict brand of justice undoes him. He proves blind to everything in giving mercy to Antonio and also in summoning a surgeon to look for Antonio's wounds. But we may feel that the punishment which Portia demands and gets him is rather too heavy for Shylock. Before doling out Shylock's punishment, the Duke assures him that he will see the difference in our spirits. But the spirit of the Venetians seem to be as vindictive as the Jews. Even though the Duke spared Shylock's life, but he took away his ability to practice his religion as well as his profession. In the course of play, Shylock has lost his daughter, his servant, his fortune, and the treasured ring which was given to him by his dead wife. Not only this, he will forfeit his estate to the person who is responsible for stealing his daughter from him. And he will abandon his religion for the one that forbids him from practicing the trade that earns him his livelihood. We cannot help but see Shylock as a victim. He has become a tragic character, a character which has no place in such a comedy and so complex. So that was it. Stay tuned to find out what happens after Antonio's trial. This is me, Beauty Bharadwaj, Stay happy, stay healthy, stay safe. Thank you.